Hacking sleep, how to optimize your sleep for maximum energy. Welcome to Weiwat's The Way to Wellness, where we dive deep into the science, history, and strategies behind personal growth and well-being. Today, we're unlocking the secrets of sleep, something we all do, but few of us truly understand. Is 8 hours really the magic number? Are we actually wired for uninterrupted sleep? And what if alternative sleep cycles could supercharge our energy and focus? We'll explore monophasic, biphasic, and polyphasic sleep patterns, examine how modern life has reshaped our natural rhythms, and uncover practical strategies for optimizing rest. If you've ever wondered how to hack your sleep for better health and productivity, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Sleep. We all do it, we all need it. And yet, how much do we really understand about it? It's more than just counting sheep or trying to hit that 8-hour target. You wouldn't watch the first 10 minutes and the last 10 minutes of a movie and claim you'd seen the whole thing, right? Exactly. You need the whole experience. Sleep is no different. It's got stages, cycles, and a purpose behind every part of it. Sleep cycles are like the different acts of a play, right? Each with its own rhythm and role. And there's a lot to unpack here, especially when you start looking at how these cycles work and how we might even be able to hack them for better rest and ultimately a better life. Most of us are familiar with monophasic sleep, the good old 8-hour knockout session. It's like the default setting on a sleep app that nobody ever thinks to change. It's the sleep schedule equivalent of a plain bagel. Functional, sure, but not particularly exciting. But how did we even get here? Monophasic sleep only became the norm thanks to the Industrial Revolution and the advent of artificial light. Suddenly, we weren't following the natural rhythms of the sun anymore. Instead, we lit up the night and decided we could just work around the clock. But our ancestors? They did things differently. Before Edison and his bright ideas changed the game, segmented sleep was the standard. People would sleep in 2 distinct chunks with a period of wakefulness in between. Basically, they hit the pause button on sleep, like a good old-fashioned VHS tape. Sleep, rewind, sleep again. And during that in-between time, they do all sorts of things. Quiet reflection, reading, even socializing. Imagine waking up in the middle of the night, feeling completely alert, having a chat with your family by candlelight, and then drifting back to sleep. Sounds strangely idyllic, doesn't it? So if we were wired for segmented sleep, why did it fall out of fashion? Well, once electric light arrived, everything changed. Our bodies rely on melatonin, the sleep hormone, to tell us when it's time to wind down. Think of melatonin like the Sandman, sprinkling sleep dust on your brain when it gets dark. But artificial light interferes with this process, tricking our bodies into thinking it's still daytime. And with that, monophasic sleep became the dominant pattern. It simply fit better with the demands of a 24/7 world. Convenient? Sure, but maybe not the most natural approach. Which brings us to an interesting question. Are there alternative sleep patterns that might actually be better suited to our natural rhythms? Ones that could boost energy and overall well-being? Now that's a cliffhanger. We're about to enter the world of alternative sleep cycles. And honestly, just thinking about it makes me feel more energized. Welcome back to our sleep cycle safari. We've explored the familiar terrain of monophasic sleep, but now it's time to veer off the beaten path. Trading in a regular sleep routine for a sleep adventure? Sounds like a plan. But before going completely off the rails, let's start with something a little more familiar: biphasic sleep. It might sound a bit exotic, but at its core, it's really just structured sleep in 2 chunks. One long sleep at night and a shorter nap during the day. Basically, it's the Mediterranean siesta, a cultural tradition with some serious scientific backing, a built-in power-up for your sleep schedule. And those power-ups come with impressive perks. Studies show that even short naps can improve alertness, cognitive function, and memory consolidation. So napping? Not just a guilty pleasure. It's a brain-boosting activity. Time to update the to-do list. Nap for science. But of course, there's an art to napping effectively. Too long, and it messes with nighttime sleep. The sweet spot? Around 20 to 30 minutes. Like a perfectly brewed espresso, just enough to invigorate without keeping you wired all night. Short and sweet is the key to a successful siesta. But then, there are the true sleep adventurers, the polyphasic sleepers. The ones who take napping to the extreme, breaking sleep into multiple short chunks throughout the day. Is that even possible? Technically, yes, but it's like trying to climb Mount Everest in flip-flops. Not exactly for the faint of heart. Polyphasic sleep involves sleeping in several short naps, often just 20 minutes at a time, spread throughout the day. Now we're really stepping into the matrix, bending the rules of reality. But why would anyone choose to sleep like that? The main appeal is the promise of more waking hours, like one of those life hack videos that promises to double productivity. The most well-known polyphasic schedule is the Uberman cycle. 6 20-minute naps evenly spaced throughout the day, adding up to just 2 hours of sleep in a 24-hour period. 2 hours of sleep. That's basically running on fumes. So what does science have to say about the long-term effects of such extreme sleep deprivation? The science on polyphasic sleep is still pretty hazy. Some people swear by it, claiming increased energy and productivity, but there are some serious downsides. Hallucinations, caffeine dependency, a constant craving for power naps, you name it. Sleep deprivation can lead to impaired cognitive function, mood swings, a weakened immune system, and even an increased risk of serious health problems over time. It's like trying to run a car on empty. Eventually, something's going to break down. So while polyphasic sleep might be an interesting experiment, it's definitely not a sustainable long-term solution for most people. It turns out, when it comes to sleep, quality trumps quantity. And that brings us to the gold standard, deep sleep. Deep sleep? It even sounds like something out of a fantasy novel, right? But it's where the real magic happens. This is when the body and mind truly recharge. During deep sleep, the brain consolidates memories, repairs tissues, and boosts the immune system. Think of it as a nightly software update for your entire system. It's not just about feeling rested, it's about optimizing physical and mental health. And the stakes are high. Insufficient deep sleep has been linked to an increased risk of conditions like dementia and Alzheimer's disease. Now that's a serious wake-up call. So how do you know if you're getting enough deep sleep? One big indicator is grogginess, even after a full night's rest. It's like plugging in your phone overnight only to find it stuck at 50% in the morning. That sluggish brain fog feeling? That's a sign that deep sleep might be in short supply. But if you're not getting enough, can you just sleep longer to make up for it? Not exactly. And this leads us straight into another sleep myth that needs busting, the magical 8-hour rule. Is it a hard and fast rule, or more of a guideline? Definitely more of a guideline. Sleep needs vary wildly depending on age, genetics, lifestyle, and even health conditions. It's like shoe sizes. There's no such thing as one size fits all. Some people naturally need more sleep, while others thrive on less. In fact, there are people who are genetically predisposed to be short sleepers. They have a specific gene that lets them function perfectly well on less sleep than the average person. A built-in superpower, the short sleep gene. That's going straight on the wish list. But does that mean we can just throw the 8-hour rule out completely? Not so fast. While individual needs vary, most adults still fall somewhere between 7 and 9 hours for optimal health. The key is to listen to your body, pay attention to how you feel, and find what works best for you. So, we've debunked the 8-hour myth and established that quality matters more than sheer quantity when it comes to sleep. But that raises another question. Have sleep patterns always been this rigid? Weren't our ancestors on a completely different schedule? Exactly. We touched on segmented sleep earlier, and it's a fascinating example of how sleep patterns have evolved over time. Before artificial light took over, segmented sleep was the norm in many cultures. People would go to bed earlier, wake up in the middle of the night for an hour or two, and then go back to sleep. It was like a play with 2 acts and an intermission in between. And what did they do during this wakeful period? Well, a lot actually. Some caught up on correspondence. By candlelight, of course. Others used the time for quiet reflection, reading, prayer, or even socializing with family members. Some even took care of small chores or checked on livestock. Imagine waking up in the middle of the night feeling completely alert and getting a productive hour or two in before drifting back into sleep. That's such a different mindset from the way we view sleep today. Now, waking up in the middle of the night is often seen as a problem, something to fix, a sign of insomnia or stress. But maybe we've lost touch with a natural rhythm our ancestors took for granted. Instead of seeing sleep as one uninterrupted block, maybe there's something to be said for a more flexible approach, one that allows for quiet contemplation in the stillness of the night. It's an interesting thought, and there may even be science to back it up. While research on segmented sleep is still limited, some studies suggest that this two-phase sleep pattern aligns with natural fluctuations in hormones and body temperature throughout the night. If that's the case, embracing a segmented sleep pattern could actually lead to more restful and restorative sleep. At the very least, it highlights the importance of understanding individual sleep needs and experimenting with different approaches to find what works best. And speaking of that, are there any practical tips or tricks we can use to optimize sleep, no matter what schedule we follow? Absolutely. Let's delve into sleep hygiene, how to create the perfect environment and habits for truly restful sleep. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of sleep cycles. It's like a sleep-themed scavenger hunt, uncovering ancient wisdom and modern science along the way. Now, armed with all this knowledge, it's time to craft a personalized sleep strategy, a schedule as unique as a fingerprint. We've got our monophasic marathoners, our biphasic nappers, and maybe even a few polyphasic daredevils out there. But how do you know which path is the right one? That's where the real adventure begins. It's like being handed a map with multiple routes. Each person gets to decide which one best suits their terrain and destination. And as you navigate the sleep landscape, there are a few key landmarks to consider. The first landmark, your lifestyle. Are you an early bird or a night owl? Do you have a demanding job with set hours or a more flexible schedule? Do family commitments dictate your sleep windows? If you're a parent juggling school drop-offs and board meetings, the Uberman sleep cycle, 6 20-minute naps spread across the day, probably isn't a practical choice. That'd be like trying to fit in a workout routine while simultaneously running a marathon. In that case, monophasic sleep or a biphasic approach with a strategically placed nap might be a better fit. The goal is to find a rhythm that complements your life, not complicates it. Next landmark, your chronotype or your natural sleep-wake preference. Some people are wired to be morning larks, others are night owls, and forcing yourself into the wrong schedule is like trying to write with your non-dominant hand. Sure, you can do it, but it's going to be inefficient and frustrating. If you're most productive at night when the world is quiet and creativity flows, trying to switch to an early bird routine might feel like swimming upstream. And when you constantly fight against your natural rhythm, you risk sleep deprivation and decreased productivity. And the final landmark? Your overall health goals. Sleep is a powerful tool for physical and mental well-being. It's like hitting the reset button on your system. But if someone's dealing with insomnia, sleep apnea, or other sleep disorders, it's crucial to consult a healthcare professional before experimenting with new sleep patterns. That's like checking in with a mechanic before tinkering under the hood of your car. A professional can help identify any underlying issues and recommend personalized solutions. So, with our sleep map in hand, landmarks considered, and a sleep adventure ahead, the next big question is, how do you make the transition? Well, think of it like training for a marathon. You wouldn't go from couch potato to running 26 miles overnight, right? The key is to start slowly and gradually adjust your sleep schedule, giving your body time to adapt. No diving headfirst into an Uberman cycle overnight. That's probably not the best approach. Instead, start with small adjustments, like shifting your bedtime and wake-up time by 15-minute increments, or experimenting with short naps to see what works best. Baby steps are key. But what if, despite the best efforts, things just aren't clicking? What if the chosen sleep adventure isn't delivering the benefits it promised? Simple. Course correct. Sleep is a journey, not a destination. Sometimes that means taking a detour or even switching routes entirely. The goal isn't to follow a rigid set of rules, but to discover what truly works for you. Think of it like trying on different outfits until you find the one that fits just right. And if sleep continues to be elusive, there's no shame in calling in reinforcements. A sleep specialist can provide personalized guidance and help pinpoint any underlying issues that might be getting in the way. This has been such an eye-opening journey. Understanding the power of sleep and how to optimize it for maximum well-being feels like unlocking a secret level in the game of life. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a sleep routine to revamp and my own personalized sleep adventure to embark on. Sweet dreams, and to everyone listening, sleep well, dream big, and wake up ready to conquer the day. That wraps up this enlightening journey into the fascinating world of sleep. We've debunked myths, explored historical sleep patterns, and mapped out personalized strategies for optimizing rest. Whether you're a night owl, an early bird, or an experimental napper, the key is to find a rhythm that works for you. At Weiwat's The Way to Wellness, we're here to guide you through life's challenges with science-backed insights and practical advice. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and check out our blog for more deep dives into wellness, self-improvement, and personal growth. Until next time, sleep well, dream big, and wake up ready to conquer the day.
Wait, what?